Now before we begin, Shonen Jump has released some news about Naruto. On April 27th, there will be a spin-off manga miniseries called Naruto Gaiden, Nanadaime Hokage to Akahiro no Hanatsuzuki, or Naruto spin-off The 7th Hokage and the Scarlet Spring Month. The plot for the spin-off is currently unknown, but from what we can tell from the tagline, the story moves towards the new age. It's going to be focusing more on the new generation that we saw in chapter 700. Personally, I have some mixed feelings over this, but we'll just have to wait and see how this will turn out on April 27th. And yes, I will be reviewing the spin-off. Alright, so with that being said, let's get started on this Bleach chapter review. Cue the intro. Hey guys, LunarSpawn27 here, bringing you Bleach chapter 621, The Dark Curtain. So the chapter begins right at the Serite. Previously, Mimihagi-Sama was being absorbed by Yhwach. Now that it's been completely absorbed, it leaves Ukitake, who has fallen onto the floor unconscious. However, we don't know if he is dead or not. Part of me is hoping that he's not dead, not just because I want to see his Bankai or any of his other abilities, but because if he is dead, then his sacrifice was for nothing, which would really suck because I wanted Ukitake's sacrifice to mean something, for him to not have died in vain. Also, I know I'm repeating myself from last week's chapter review, but this bears repeating. Why haven't the Shinigami left yet? Anyway, that black energy that Yhwach unleashed in the previous chapter was heading down towards the Serite and completely enveloped it in black, which I found kind of strange because in the previous chapter Yhwach said that they'll let Serite be for the moment until Yhwach completely absorbs the Soul King and his power. So I guess he already completed absorbing the Soul King or something, I'm not really sure. But speaking of Yhwach, he was hunched over next to the Soul King's body, and Lily Barrow, concerned for his majesty, asked him if he was okay. Suddenly these black one-eyed mutant blob things start to emerge from Yhwach's body, and I swear this feels like something out of either Fullmetal Alchemist or Hellsing. Hashfald finally decides to show up, it's about goddamn time by the way, and explains to Lele what these things are. According to him, it is a torrent of the Soul King's power. The power of the Soul King is so enormous that Yhwach couldn't contain all of it, so he had to release some of that power. Not only that, but apparently the Shinigami not only created the Soul King, but had to place seals on him to suppress that power. Okay, this definitely raises some questions, because why would the Shinigami create a being with this much power? Maybe a being is needed to have this much power in order to become the linchpin of these worlds, and this might also explain why the Soul King was encased in that crystal. But we still don't know whether or not the Soul King was created by the Shinigami or by a greater power. As for Yhwach, since he now has the power of the Soul King, that would mean that he's technically the new Soul King, right? I mean, Hashfald did say, for the Soul King's enemies are only the Shinigami, so he must be talking about Yhwach because he's releasing the Soul King's power onto the Serite to kill the Shinigami. Speaking of the Shinigami, they're wondering what caused the Serite to be shrouded in black, and Soifon notices that the Shakunmaku has an opening. She goes outside and tries to do something instead of standing around twiddling her thumbs by getting rid of the darkness by blasting it with her Bankai, Jakuho Raikoben. However, the one-eyed mutant blob things arrived at the Serite and start to attack Soifon. She gets overwhelmed but is saved by Omaida, but she just insults him and punches him in the face. Okay, don't get me wrong, I don't like Omaida, but he did help Soifon, so I'm just saying, cut him some slack. Just this once. Anyway, Shuhei, Ikkaku, and Yumichika activate their Shikais and attack the blobs. Byakuya, Renji, and Rukia also show up and help them out, Byakuya using his Zenbonzakura. But there were too many of these one-eyed mutant blob things, and eventually they'll become overwhelmed. However, some of them fall to the ground looking like they're being squished by something as they hear a voice in the darkness. The voice tells them that nothing good will come from flailing their swords about when they can simply use their Ryatsu and crush them all in one fell swoop. Rukia, who is shocked, knows who the person is, as he emerges from the shadows, revealing to be Sosuke Aizen. And that is where the chapter ends. Wait a minute, isn't this the third time Aizen either revealed himself or his name was mentioned at an end of a chapter? So yeah, that is Bleach chapter 621. What did I think? Well, it is a bit better than last week's chapter. I mean, at least the Shinigami got to do something instead of standing around wondering what the hell was going on. Plus, it's been a while since we saw these Shikais and Soifon's Bankai, and at least we got some new information about the Soul King, even if it is a little. But this just makes me want chapters of explaining the Soul King's backstory and Yhwach's backstory. I'm really hoping Kubo is going to get to that, but it's just a matter of when. We still don't know what happened to Ichigo and the others, or how they're going to survive the fall. Same thing goes for Yoruichi, and as for the ending with Aizen showing up, it was obvious that he was going to show up, so it wasn't really that much of a surprise. But since he is there, obviously the Shinigami will have no choice but to work with him, albeit reluctantly, and Hinamari is there. So I wonder how she's going to react when she sees Aizen. By the way, how did he get there when he was sitting on the throne? I guess those Kido Corp people must have carried him there, but we don't see them, and we don't see Shuhei for that matter. Also, how did he know that Ryatsu would work on these one-eyed mutant blob things? Well, since they're part of the Soul King's power, he must have done some research on the Soul King. However, even though I feel the chapter was okay, there is still one problem that I have with it, and that is the pacing. Look, it's no surprise that some Bleach chapters will have slow pacing, but considering that this is the final arc, I just want it to move forward a little bit more, pick up the pace. Because not only was this chapter a quick read, but even though stuff was happening, it felt like not a lot has happened. But I am looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next week. So overall, this chapter, even though the pacing was still slow, it was still a bit better than last week's chapter. So tell me guys, what do you think of this week's chapter of Bleach? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What do you think of this new information about the Soul King? And does this mean that Yhwach is now the new Soul King? Also, since Aizen has arrived, what do you think the Shinigami are going to do now? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like the video if you like it and subscribe to my videos, and be sure to check out my Facebook fan page and Google+. So yeah, that is Bleach chapter 621. I'm LunarSpawn27, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.